Organizations like 3M, Best Buy, Caterpillar, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Medtronic, Sanford Health, and Wells Fargo seek out Jermaine's expertise in the areas of motivation, leadership, team building, and work-life balance. Please help me welcome back to the stage, Jermaine Davis.
Thank you. I'm 17 years young, first year of college. I'm in my dorm room. 3:33 a.m. I get an excruciating pain in my stomach, and I feel like someone is stabbing me. My roommate Steve's on the top bunk, and he says, "Jermaine, are you okay?" I get out of the bed and I hunch over. I said, "Steve, call the ambulance." He calls the ambulance. Doctor talks to me at 4:30 a.m. He says, "Young man, how old are you?" I says, "I'm 17. He says, "You want to live till you're 25? I said, "Well, absolutely." He says, "I don't know what's going on in your life, but whatever's going on in your life, you need to make some changes." You know what was going on in my life? I was holding in my stress. I didn't know how to articulate and communicate the things that were painful in my life. So early on, I had to figure out, how do I have courageous conversations with people in my personal and professional lives? I don't know about you, but I grew up in a household, loved my mother, but she yelled, screamed, she was very combative, so I learned to fall back and acquiesce. I learned to be quiet because being quiet provided safety for me. But it didn't teach me how to engage in the real world. So what I spend my time doing is going into organizations, working with managers, leaders, teaching people how to articulate what's going on in their head, in their heart. By show of hands, how many people ever wanted to say something to someone, but you held back? Thank you for being honest. Well, I'm gonna give you some quick tips. A courageous conversation is a heart-to-heart conversation with someone that moves the relationship, the team, or the organization forward. I can't tell you how many organizations invite me in. You got smart people, talented people, educated people, but yet they don't know how to communicate. So what do? They engage in fake talk. You know, you've done that before. But see, you can't get results in organizations if you can't have real dialogue. You know what my mother used to tell me growing up in inner city Chicago? She would say, "Baby, tell it like it is. Call an ace and a spade a spade." At my mother's memorial service, I said it and everyone started laughing because my mother told it like it was, right? So let me give you some tips. First and foremost, you gotta manage workplace conflict and tension. And I want to give you this tip. When I was writing my book, Leading with Greatness, I wrote a whole chapter on what is conflict. And one of the things I noticed is that conflict is the result of an unmet or violated need, want, or expectation. I'm going to give you practical tips in this 10 minutes that you can use tomorrow in the workplace or when you get home with your sugar plums. So here's what I want you to think about. The next time you have conflict, and here's what conflict looks like. It's like this. In a workplace or in your personal life. I'm right. No, I'm right. I want you to see it my way. No, I want you to see it my way. So you're butting heads. And here's the reality. In order to begin to resolve conflict, one person must be emotionally mature to back down. It's not that you're giving up your position, but if we're both going like this, the conflict will not be resolved. And in the workplace, you can't move the organization forward. You can't move the team forward if we're spending time doing this. So one person must be emotionally what? Mature enough to back down. So here's what I want you to take away from this slide here. Every person, she or he, has needs, wants, and expectations. Here's what I mean by needs. Non-negotiables. These are the things you need in the workplace in order for you to do your best work. Now, I wish I had more time, but I'm an interactive speaker. So can someone give me one of their professional needs that you need from a colleague or a leader or manager in order for you to do your best work? Anyone? Recognition. Thank you. See, Dr. Phil told me to tell you this. I was hanging out with him the other day at Barnes & Noble. reading one of his new books. Yeah, we're cool like that. But I love this. Here's what Dr. Phil says. We teach people how to treat us. You got to teach your peers. You got to teach your coworkers. You got to teach your managers how to treat you. What drives your motivation? What demotivates you? Teach them. And then on the flip side, you should find out other people's needs, wants. Wants are those desires, nice to have. We don't get all of them. But it is important to know what people's desires are, their wants and expectations. What do you look for in a leader? Now, I'm a professional speaker full-time, but I still teach 2 courses a semester. Before I teach any class every semester, I give my students an index card. And I said, we're going to make this anonymous. What do you need from Jermaine Davis? And they'll say. I said, what do you want from me? Then they tell me. I said, what do you expect? That gives me insight on how to work with them more effectively, to move from fake talk to real talk. Next is be a competent communicator. Here's the core. Know what you're trying to achieve. All communication at the core has a goal. What do you want to achieve as a result of this communication? Here's 3 things I want you to think about. What do you want people to start doing, stop doing, or what do you want them to continue to do? I just wish I had more time, but I want to give you some good content. I'm going to get to this slide here. I want to teach you about the carpenter's rule. Anyone know about the carpenter's rule? The carpenter's rule says this: measure twice, cut once. Whenever you're interacting with someone, if you want to be effective with them, here are 4 points you should know. First of all, know yourself. Socrates says this: to thine own self be true. Never enter into a communication exchange if you're not mentally and emotionally ready. The right message at the wrong time leads to communication chaos and blunders. I'm going to say that again. The right message at the wrong time will create communication, conflict, and blunder and chaos. Know your customer. In organizational life, there's 2 customers. There's an external customer, she or he who purchases your products, your services, or the opportunities that you have for them. Who's your other customer? Your coworkers. You gotta take care of your coworkers. Why? Because they work with you to move the team forward. I love when Maya Angelou says this: I may not remember what you said to me. I may not remember what you did to me, but I will remember how you made me feel. See, feelings are facts. Feelings are facts. We had a speaker earlier today talk about this. And he has a little book out there on small business, Mark LeBlanc. He says this: your momentum is connected to your motivation. If I feel bullied at work, if I don't feel valued at work, it's going to lead to disengagement. Third, what are your goals? Before you engage in a conversation, know your goals. Recently, one of my friends came up to me. She's a project manager for a Fortune 500 company in the Twin Cities. She was having conflict with one of her peers. I said, Catherine, as a result of this conversation with this person you're having conflict with, what do you want to happen? She says, I don't know. I said, you can't have the conversation. You can't have a courageous conversation if you don't know what you want. I said, so call me within 48 hours. This is your homework. Figure out what do you want to achieve as a result of this courageous conversation. Lastly, the context. Context matters. Time and place. It might not be the right time depending on what's going on in your organization. I want to share this with you. Right here is a thermostat. A thermostat is a device that controls the temperature in the room. A thermometer is a device that records the temperature in the room. Lead yourself first, as Bessie Buckley said to us earlier. Sometimes in organizational life, you have to be a thermostat, and sometimes you have to be a thermometer. What do I mean? Sometimes you gotta lead the charge. You gotta set the example. You teach people how you want to be treated. Other times as a leader, you sit back and you allow other people to lead. But lead up, down, and across. I just did 2 webinars for Wells Fargo on this. Lead your career and lead your life. So I want to leave with this. Abraham Maslow says this. I didn't get to everything, but Abraham Maslow says this. If the only tool you have inside your toolbox is a hammer, you'll begin to treat every problem like a nail. Put more tools inside of your toolbox. My name is Jermaine Davis. Thank you. Have a good day.